Welcome back into One Bills Live. Maddie Glab alongside Steve Tasker, and we are joined by tight end Dawson Knox. Dawson, training camp is wrapping up. You guys go back to Orchard Park here to finish up training camp. You've got a preseason game on Saturday, so things are moving along as we head into week 1, which I can't believe is right around the corner already. But final practice of training camp here at St. John Fisher. What did you like about going to St. John Fisher here?
So this is my second time coming here. My rookie year, my head was spinning, couldn't really appreciate what it was for what it is. But I think St. John Fisher is awesome. I mean, it puts everyone in the dorm rooms. You got no choice but to kind of start getting close to your teammates. And, I mean, we're playing board games and card games at night. All of our meals are right there together. It kind of forces the team to come together in a good way. So that chemistry is really, really starting off well.
And all that stuff is important where you get together and seeing these guys and getting to know who they are as people rather than just teammates, football players. Plus, there's being back in OP, they kind of tend to condense the day a little bit because, well, like now, if before you guys do the afternoon stuff or whatever, you may get a chance to go up. You can go up and lay down for 20 minutes, get off your feet, take a rest, whatever, call the family.
Right.
But in Orchard Park, you're going all the time. There's no place to go lay down on a cot at Orchard Park, right? So
no dorm beds at
Orchard
Orchard
dorm
Park.
beds.
Camp, the structure of your day-to-day activity is very different when you do not go away from camp, and all the things that make it different, the pluses and minuses, sure, but it's teamwork. It's also the ability to get rest right at the time when you need it. Just go up the elevator, lay down, and then get back up and come back down. All that's important, and what do you think? Compare. Is it better here? Is it how different, and what are the differences?
No doubt it's different. I would say the only minus about being here is the bed. It's
bed?
The bed. I mean, dorm beds obviously aren't going to compete with your own bed at home. But besides that, just the ability to have a 30-minute break, go lay down, hang out, like you mentioned. I mean, the food's always available. And I bought an electric scooter, so I'm motoring around campus, going up to the bed every chance we get. But, like in Orchard Park, all the meetings are back-to-back with practice, with walkthroughs. So everything's condensed. So there's not really any off time. And then when you're done for the day, everyone leaves.
Right.
But here, you got some space. You got some time to lay down right after practice. I know today's different, but after a normal day here, you got an hour and a half to go kind of decompress, get some food, get a little nap in before meetings start, which is huge because – in Orchard Park, when you go straight from practice to shower to meetings,
it's hard to stay awake.
Oh, no question.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
That's why they got coffee machines in every room in there. Yeah.
So you talked about the games that you guys would play at night. I saw a bunch of Instagram stories of you guys, whether it was playing bags, cornhole, whatever you want to call it, playing card games and all that. Was there a game that would be the most heated every night or on certain nights?
We love Catan. Settlers of
Who's
Catan,
the group
or
that
Catan,
plays?
if you want to call it
Who's
Catan.
the group that plays?
There's always a big group. There's about 10 different people.
Has the group grown since
the group
this
has
started?
grown. We've started to recruit and started to teach people the ways of Catan. So the land of Catan has slowly expanded. We actually have 2 different boards. We got the expansion pack going, but that gets the most heated. And you see alliances start forming, and you see people start having vendettas against other players. It's good. It gets the competitive juices flowing.
Who's the best Catan player on the team?
Me.
Yeah, okay.
Is this true,
I'd be
or are we just
disappointed
being
if you said
confident?
something different. You have to, right.
Josh would say him. I mean, as you would know that. But also, I got to give a shout-out to Greg Mance. He's
new
made
player on the team this
new
year.
Players had
Dark
some.
horse.
He's got some beginner's luck going for him right now.
Okay.
We've been hearing we've had national people come in and out of camp, and they're going like yesterday. We had Evan Washburn, sideline guy for CBS. He's been to 11 training camps. Brian Baldinger has come in, seen a bunch of camps, and we're getting tidbits from all these different training camps about how it's going for them, how it's going for them. How much stock do you put into, and how much can you tell? Is your offense playing really well? Is it going to be good? Is your defense going to be really good? Is it playing well? Is it because of the injuries? How much evaluation do you think can go into what the team's going to look like in November, December as to what it looks like now?
I think it's all about just making small steps every day. I mean, the first week or so, there was a lot of rust that we were shaking off, guys just getting back into football shape, that timing starting to get down with Josh on some routes. But one of the biggest things is you don't want to see the same mistake being made. So once something gets corrected, you want to see that be handled for the rest of camp. So that's been a big thing for us, especially as an offense. If we have, camps 4 making mistakes, so you can see what you did wrong and so you can correct it going forward. So after you get some film breakdown, after you figure out what went wrong, being able to fix it correctly and not be able to go back to that same mistake is huge. And we've done a pretty good job of that this last week.
Dawson, you've played on a lot of football teams in your life. I'm sure there's a type of feel that goes into knowing, okay, this is going to be a good team on both sides of the football. By now, we're in the 3rd week of training camp here. Are you starting to get a sense of that feel? The team is very similar to last year's team in terms of players and personnel, but have you gotten that feel now in week 3, like, okay, things are starting to move forward, we're starting to get the hang of things, it's coming together?
Yeah, no question. I think one of the biggest things right now is just the love that you can feel that everyone has for each other. I know there's been a few fights in camp, which happens everywhere.
It's probably a good thing, though.
Guys are hot and tired
Intensity.
And frustrated, but it is good. It is good. But that chemistry of being able to come together after practice in the locker room, being like, hey, man, no hard feelings. You're my guy, even though we just fought on the field. Like, we're back to being teammates. And that's another great thing that St. John Fisher does for us. It brings that chemistry together that's going to be huge for us going forward.
You mentioned being here 2 years ago and as a rookie, and I remember as a rookie I did the same thing. How important is it, and have you told rookies that it's okay to fail out here because you've got to work on the things you're not very good at in order to be good enough all around to make an NFL roster? And how different is your training camp now this year than it was 4 years ago?
Man, it's night and day. But that is huge, just making sure the rookies know that there are going to be tons of mistakes, and that's okay. But we just want to see them flying around, having energy, giving it their best effort. So when it comes to coaching, we can coach technique. We can work on little technical things to fix, but it's hard to coach effort. So just seeing guys flying around, playing full speed is huge, but letting them know that it's okay to mess up here and there is big. But also for me, like my rookie year, my head was spinning, going from – it felt like I was going from kindergarten math to college algebra just like that, just with the playbook alone. So just knowing where to line up and what route to run was half the battle for me back then. But now, 4th year in a very similar system, it's kind of second nature now. So just being able to work on the crucial things like timing with Josh when he's looking at me and his progression and little pass protection techniques that I wasn't necessarily able to work on my rookie year. Now I can kind of hone in on those little things that'll take it to the next level.
Dawson, I'm sure if you had your way, all of the tight ends would make the 53-man roster, and they'd be around, and maybe even more tight ends would be a part of the roster. But your guys, Tommy Sweeney and Quentin Morris, have been battling it out this camp. Not necessarily against each other, but they've been putting together some really good tape. Tommy and Quentin had great catches in practice yesterday. Tommy had that diving catch in the back of the end zone, that back shoulder grab that he had, then threw the ball into the crowd. The team kind of went around him and cheered for him. What has it been like for you to kind of watch those two really improve this camp and put together some great days of practice?
Gosh, it's been incredible. Those 3 catches between Tommy's 2 and Quentin's 1 yesterday were some of the best catches of the whole camp. And so just seeing guys in our room make plays like that just gets everyone hyped up. I mean, the whole tight end group on the sidelines running down, celebrating with them. That's kind of another mark for a good team. Being able to celebrate with your guys that you're competing against is huge. So obviously we wish that everybody would make the team, but that's just not the nature of this business. But those guys have done an unbelievable job putting their best foot forward to give them every argument as to why they should be on the 53 when it comes time for it.
Well, you're one of the few guys outside of the offensive line that kind of put your hand on the ground and kind of feel the vibe what's coming out of the offensive line room. They've been shuffling it around. Saffold's been out. Spencer's been in and out, and they've been shuffling guys all over the place. How has that gone? What has the coaching staff's message been to those guys through all this uncertainty about who's going to line up in practice, let alone in games and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, hats off to those guys because they could come into the locker room right before practice and be like, hey, you're not playing right guard today, you're playing left tackle. I mean, it's unbelievable what those guys can do. I can't imagine, being so locked into one position, then right before practice, oh, psych, you're going to go play the other side of the line or go play a completely different position that you're not used to. Yeah, I mean, so they've dealt with those injuries very, very well. I think when everyone's fresh and ready to go, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
You've got preseason games coming up. The first one this Saturday against the Indianapolis Colts. 2 home games, 2 home preseason games this season as we head into the regular season. A lot of guys are going to get a lot of reps that they'll be able to put on tape to help them make that 53-man roster or the practice squad. Since you're a starter, you'll probably get to kind of hang out and chill. Sean McDermott said Josh Allen is not going to play on Saturday and the rest is going to be an individual basis. But what are some words of advice that you give to some of these rookies or these second-year players that are fighting for a spot on this team?
Probably a little bit of what I touched on earlier of just doing everything full speed. Like, even if you're not 100% sure on what your assignment is, go blow somebody up if you're blocking. Go run a route full speed. If you're not 100% sure, first of all, you should ask. But if you're out there lined up and you're like, oh, crap, what do I got? Just go do something full speed. Make it look like you care. Go catch a block if someone else catches the block or catches the ball. Go get a block downfield. Do everything 100%. All out to where you have no regrets at the end of the game.
Yeah, even if you block a guy and you blow him up, at least they know you can blow the guy up at the
Right.
NFL level. And once they coach you up to get the right guy, you're gold.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to ask you this. You're now established, and like Maddie said, you'll probably be eating sunflower seeds on Saturday afternoon. But for me, I remember this. It's like it's kind of cool that you've established yourself to the point where, you're good. We know what you can do. You're part of our team. We're going to be going. And that's kind of cool. But after going to training camp and going through all of this, and you get out there and the game day and the crowd and stuff, and you're saying, I want to play.
Oh,
right?
no question.
It's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. So, it kind of sounds good in your head. Okay, day off, get to cheer some other guys on. But when you get out there and see the crowd going, everyone warming up in the pads with the game day music going, you're like, dude, give me my pads back. I need to go.
I know.
But, it'll be good to kind of channel that energy towards the first game.
Yeah.
Dawson, one final question from me. Is there one thing that you can take away from this training camp, maybe that you didn't know about the team going into it? I know you've been around for a few seasons, but one thing maybe that stood out to you?
Yeah. There's really not a single guy on this team that is disliked. You always hear about there's a couple guys on every team that no one really wants to hang out with outside of football. Even with the new guys, they've just gelled so well with everybody that you see everybody hanging out.
And how unique is that, though, to teams? You've been a part of a lot of teams, like I said before.
Yeah. It almost feels like a college atmosphere with, I didn't know what to expect going from college to the league. I had heard some crazy stories of guys doing their own thing, guys having their separate marketing deals and, owning whatever they do on the side and not really hanging out with the team. But it truly does feel like a family. I know that's a cliche, but everyone's always hanging out with each other, going out to dinner, golfing together on the off days. It really is kind of like a brotherhood that we got going, which is pretty awesome.
Let me ask you this philosophical question, and this will be the last one for me. What do you think it happens? Do you have chemistry to win, or does winning breed chemistry?
I think it's a little of both. We always talk about how execution brings energy. So I think the better you can perform on the field, the natural energy is just going to keep increasing. So I think you need chemistry to win. There's no doubt, this team has that.
Right.
But I think as the wins continue, that chemistry only gets better and better and better because being able to celebrate with your guys after a big win and being able to handle adversity and get through it with the guys just is going to bring about chemistry like you can't.
All right, one more quick one,
recreate.
Because you brought it up. How was the golf game here in Rochester?
I actually got to play Oak Hill the other day, which was unbelievable. Nicest course I've ever played. My golf game's terrible. I shot like a 103. I really wanted to break 100. I started golfing about a year and a half ago.
Okay, that's pretty good, Dawson.
But it's just such a frustrating sport that I can't really turn on that competitive switch or I'll get too mad. But it's such a fun, relaxing activity to go do. I get out as much as I can.
Dawson, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have a great season.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Go
you
Bills.
so much, Dawson.